In this teaching module, I'm going to look at productivity, inflation, and real income. I should note that I'm using the reductio ad absurdum rhetorical argument. So a lot of these are stylized facts, and so I'll point that out. But the idea is to just share the concept, get the general idea. So let's start with a nation's standard of living depends on its productivity. So income per person. So the income per person is approximately equal to the salary or the wage, the average salary or wage. Average salary or wage per person. And then to compare it year to year, you have to adjust it for inflation, wage over the price index. So, and the first thing we should always ask, according to Hayek 1945, who measures what, why, and with what knowledge? So when we're looking at inflation, we should keep in mind that the Federal Reserve Bank, central banks always have the motivation to, especially recently, since the 2008 financial crisis, and then the easy money that we've had since then. So easy money means that there's inflation, whether it's invisible or not. Easy money, more money, simply means that there is inflation by definitions. But the central banks, Japan, Europe, and the United States, continue to report just 2% or below inflation so that they continue their cronyist low interest rates. So whenever we'll look at that, how inflation is measured. So in 2018 is the latest that Wiki has per person average salary wage per person in the United States at around $50,000 in 2018. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that then in 2019, it's now $60,000, just so we can be simple with our calculations. But we know that that's not true. Historically, up until everything changed with 2008, real economic growth was 3% a year. And since 2008, it's been 2% a year or less. As we know from Ann Kroeger's 1974 Political Economy of the Rent-Seeking Society, the more interventions you have, the more bailouts you have, the less the market works, and the end result is a new, lower than historic average real income growth. Okay, so then the way you would measure then 50,000 2018, 60,000 2019, that would be a 20% growth in income not adjusted for inflation. Then if inflation is at 2%, 20% divided by 0.02, then real per person economic growth would be around 19.6%. But if inflation is at 10%, then real income per person would be growing at around 18%. So again, the state has an incentive to underreport inflation and overreport income, because the purpose of the state, the political parties, is to get elected or re-elected. So now when we look at it, how is inflation measured? So inflation is measured by the central banks surveying people. What is their consumption bundle? What do they purchase? And then they calculate inflation. I should mention that shadowstats.com does a good job of critiquing and making alternative measures to the stuff the state reports. Shadowstats.com can give you what real inflation figures are and unemployment figures and things like that. Okay, so let's just say for the sake of argument. So then if you gather data by survey, then you get survey bias, which is only people who want to provide the information. They often tell whoever they're being surveyed by what they want to hear. So you start with survey bias right away. And then when you start indexing things, then you start to get arbitrary measures because every person's consumption bundle is unique. And in addition, the indexes include and exclude certain factors. For example, if you own your own home, that's not included in the payments, mortgage payments, that's not included in your cost of living. I'm not sure if even healthcare is included in your cost of living. I'm pretty sure that energy is not included in the inflationary indexes. It's a very complicated, opaque process, the calculation of inflation. And again, the end result is that inflation is always less than 2%, so that the central banks can continue their easy money and their power. Okay, so let's just say, for example, we have in 2018, 1 apple and 1 orange at $1 each. That would be $2. And let's say in 2019, it goes up. An apple is now $1.02 and an orange is now $1.02. So that means you're getting 2% inflation for this index figure. But let's say now, alternatively, like myself, 1 apple at $1, 1 orange at $1, and then health insurance at $1. And of course, these are just illustrative figures. They don't really represent the true amounts. It's just illustrative to make rhetorical arguments. So now in 2019, you get 2% inflation in apple, 2% in orange, but health insurance is now $1.30, which means that if you include another variable, again, it's arbitrary, indexing is arbitrary, that now inflation is at 11%, right? So we don't want to report these figures because then we would have to raise interest rates. Okay, thank you. That completes our teaching module on productivity, inflation, and real income.